Creativity for me is not an accessory to life, but the current through which life discloses itself. It emerges most clearly when other structures of meaning collapse, when systems of validation, visibility, and performance fail to hold. What remains is a pulse, the subtle circulation of consciousness as it arranges itself into form. Creativity is not a skill, a career, or commodity. It is the process through which perception materializes, the medium by which the unseen acquires shape, and the practice that reminds me of the continuity between inner and outer being. When I enter the act of creating, I recognize that the materials, the brush, the canvas, the words, function only as conduits. They are not the essence, but the temporary carriers of a deeper encounter. What is revealed is not the product, but the degree to which I am willing to confront myself. How much perception I allow to shift, how much solidity I permit to dissolve. Art refuses negotiation. It neither flatters nor conceals. It is the mirror that reflects without distortion, obliging me to meet myself as I am. Contemporary life insists on proof of existence through visibility, to be seen, liked, affirmed, circulated. I understand this instance because I once lived inside it. I know the lure of mistaking recognition for value and visibility for reality. But over time, perception reconfigures. I see now that these structures, desire, validation, performance, are not external impositions, but internalized programs of the same consciousness, operating in a state of inertia. To acknowledge this is not to condemn them, but to recognize they are me as I once was. The distinction lies not in essence, but in perception. Stillness creates the condition for this shift. By stillness, I do not mean absence, but density, the saturation of awareness in which thought has not yet crystallized into object. In these intervals, the separation between self and world relaxes. Distance, which once seemed definitive, reveals itself as provisional. What felt external folds back into continuity with myself. This is why I say creativity is not what I do, but what I am. It is the channel through which imagination stabilizes into knowing, the site where belief condenses into structure. Each act of creation dissolves the assumption of boundaries and reaffirms that I am not outside the world observing it, but inside its very pulse, at once the perceiver and the perceived. Imagination, then, is not an escape from reality, but a repatterning of it. What emerges in creation is not invention ex nihilo, but the reorganization of latent potential. Consciousness translating itself into visibility through me. I am both the vessel and the current, both the channel and the flow. The task of creativity, as I now understand it, is not performance, permanence, or proof of value, but recognition of continuity. Every perception, every object, every articulation belongs to the same field of consciousness. Creation exposes this field, collapses the fiction of distance, and reminds me that the division between self and world, creator and creation, is perceptual rather than absolute. What I love most about being a creative is this: the sovereignty of imagination, not as ornament, not as indulgence, but as a fundamental law of being. The recognition that perception is never final, that reality itself is porous, rearrangeable, susceptible to the touch of thought. Imagination is the proof that nothing is closed, that despair, boredom, even the hollowness of meaning collapsing are not endpoints but entryways. When I create, I learn that what I inherit, the structures, the stories, the conditions, are not immutable. They are drafts, temporary scaffolds, and drafts can be rewritten. The act of making is not just expression, it is revision of the real. It is the refusal to let circumstances dictate finality. This is why I return to creativity as one would return to a pulse. It confirms that there is no place I cannot move from, no state I cannot imagine through. It shows me that even in silence, something is speaking. Even in darkness, something is forming. Even in stillness, possibility circulates. To be creative is to remember that the world is not fixed, that perception is not a sentence. To be creative is to know that I can step into any condition and discover that its edges are negotiable. That what looks like an ending is only a pause in tempo. That what feels like confinement is already vibrating with exits. And so, what I love most about creativity is not just that it gives me language or form, but that it reminds me again that I am never powerless. That imagination is not escape but return, not fantasy but architecture. That through creating, I learn the most radical truth I know. If I can see it, I can move towards it. If I can dream it, I am already it. Creativity is not what saves me from reality. It is what reveals that reality has been mine to shape all along. My name is Asha Tamia Harper, and you are watching a Playground of Things Artist in Residency.